I was contemplating on the topic of the day, I was reminded of the great words of René Descartes, who said, cogito ergo sum. Meaning to say, I think, therefore I am. Now we all think. In fact, every living being thinks. Insects, birds, animals, even plants think. But there's something about human beings which makes us think more than the others. See, we are not the strongest, we are not the biggest species. Yet, we have managed to become the masters of this earth. The only thing that we have to our advantage is the thinking capacity. We can think greater, wider, higher than almost all other living beings. Now comes the question, how is it? What makes us think? There is a thing called the mind. The mind is the element that gives us the power to experience what is happening around us, to recognize what is happening around us, to digest and understand what is happening around us, and to put things into action. I would like to clarify that the mind is not the same as the brain. Often people confuse the two. They even use it interchangeably, but that's not true. The mind is not an organ. The brain is an organ sitting over here. The brain is studied by neurologists. The mind is studied by psychologists. And the mind has no fixed matter. It doesn't exist in physical form anywhere. Yet, it is the one thing that has got unlimited power to help us not only to think, but to put our thoughts in action, and to think to the extent that has brought us today here, where we are the superior race among all living species on earth. If you want me to put it in a very nutshell, the brain is the hardware. The mind is the software. The hardware has limitations. You know, all your computers, the hardware, you say, it has got so much capacity, so much RAM memory, so much of this. But the software, you can keep loading as much software as you want anytime. And that is where the greatness of the mind comes in. The mind has no limitations. The mind can help you to think beyond every plausible limit. Recall that wonderful person who passed away, Richard Dawkins. He was completely paralyzed from head to toe. No organ of his body functioned. He could not eat, he could not lift up a little finger. He could not even talk. And yet, he was acknowledged as the greatest scientist after Einstein. Why? Because his mind worked to that capacity. Okay, all of us cannot be an Einstein or a Dawkins, but we can definitely use our mind to an unlimited capacity. And that is where this basic question comes in, that are we using it or not? One of the greatest saints of the 20th century, Swami Vivekananda, he said, the mind is like a lake, and every thought is like a wave in the lake. The lake is placid. It looks as though it's not moving at all. Just throw a stone and see. A ripple starts. And the ripple keeps growing. We talk about that phrase, no? That what he said had a ripple effect on so many people. That's exactly what happens. Great thoughts have ripple effects. You may think, this is a small pebble that I'm throwing into the lake. how much waves can it generate? But you can actually experience it. The same thing happens to the mind. The mind has that ability to think as much as we make it think. That is entirely up to us. Now comes this question, to make the thoughts meet the action. There's something in between that comes between the thoughts and the actions. And that is called emotion. See, thoughts are in our control. I can decide what to think about. I can direct my thoughts in any particular direction. But the moment I think of something, it leads to an emotion. And that emotion leads to action. Okay. Let me also explain. English is a very funny language. We use words in a very odd way sometimes. There is a word called feeling, and there is a word called emotion. Feelings are of two types. You can have physical feelings, and you can have mental feelings. Physical feeling is, I'm feeling sleepy, I'm feeling hungry, I'm feeling cold. These are physical feelings. Mental feelings are, I'm feeling happy, I'm feeling excited, I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling jealous. Those are mental feelings. And mental feelings are emotions. But funnily enough, we stick to the word feelings. I can't ask anybody, how are you emoting? He'll say, what's wrong with you? I can only ask, how are you feeling? And I leave it to the person to describe the emotion. Now, emotions, as I mentioned, come from within. They are a consequence of our thoughts. We do not have control over emotions. We never decide, I am going to be happy, or you better become sad, or tomorrow I am going to be angry. No, it is spontaneous. It comes from within. Our thoughts lead to the emotions. But the important thing is, we can manage our emotions. We can have mastery over our emotions. And these things have already been told to us quite some time back. Towards the end of the 20th century, two wonderful developments took place which were overshadowed by the IT revolution. Because simultaneously, information technology came in such a big way that these two very significant things which govern our life somehow seem to have taken a back seat. The first one was life skills. World Health Organization, WHO, propagated 10 basic life skills, which are essential for a good quality of life, regardless of where you live, how educated you are, what is your culture. They are there available to us. They should have been part of our education system. Unfortunately, they are not. But it's up to us to learn those life skills. And two of those life skills are being aware of yourself, self-awareness, and management of emotions. Just a few years later, Daniel Goleman wrote a book called Emotional Intelligence. And there was a flurry. People started understanding how emotions control us. Emotional intelligence, very briefly, is 5 pillars. Self-awareness, management of emotions, motivation to do what I want to do, empathy, understanding others, and the culmination of that, the 5th one, is social skills. My guru of management, Sharu Rangnekar, told me, you can be excellent in whatever you do, but unless you learn how to make others do work, you'll never rise up. A good leader is one who may not have technical skills, financial skills, creative skills, but he knows how to get work done by others. Now these are the 5 pillars, and the first 2, as I said, are self-awareness and management of emotions. Now if I manage my emotions correctly, automatically my actions become right. But unfortunately, I come across so many people who have not learned how to manage their own emotions. The wisest of people have said that the greatest power that you can acquire is control over yourself, not control over machines or human beings. You gain control over yourself and you have achieved everything in life. I have great faith in the younger generation. I think their potential, their capacity, and what they are doing is far better than what my generation did. At the same time, I sometimes feel sad that some people, at least in the younger generation, resort to what we call as a herd mentality, H-E-R-D, herd. That is, everybody is saying so, so therefore I also follow that. And this, mind you, has tremendously increased from the time social media started controlling our lives. Anything that happens on social media, we believe it to be the truth. But that's not true. More the number of people say something, the more we are convinced that yes, it must be right because everybody is saying it. Now here comes this thing, do I have the capacity to think for myself and to convert those thoughts into an emotion, a passion, and a motivation? If I do that, all great people have done that. Take the father of the nation of India, Mahatma Gandhi. He went totally against the tide. And nobody believed. In fact, the Britishers labeled him as the half-naked fakir. But here was this fakir. He said that salt is available on the seashore. It's part of what nature has given us. Government has no right to tax it. And he started marching, what was known as the Dandi March. And about 80 people followed him. And an entire nation rose up because of that. Now that is the type of emotion, passion, or motivation. If we can develop that, going against the herd mentality. And to be able to do that, we need to have one more skill, which is what I want to leave you with at the culmination as a thought to really work on and develop. It is a very rarely used word called congruence. If you want me to define congruence for you, I will define what is the opposite of congruence and automatically the answer will come to you. The opposite of congruence is hypocrisy. Look around you and see how much we are surrounded with hypocrisy. I think the greatest, most damaging epidemic that is hitting mankind is not corruption, is not terrorism, it's not violence, it is hypocrisy. People don't mean what they say. In all their wisdom, the Red Indians of North America had a wonderful quote which says, "Talk your talk and walk your talk." When you talk, say something that you actually mean. And once you say something, see that you put it into action. And that is congruence. Harmony between your thoughts, your emotions, your speech, and your actions. If you can truthfully say, all these are in harmony, they blend, I'm not a hypocrite. You have attained greatness without even realizing it. And in the long run, it will not only get you a sense of fulfillment, you will really feel that you have lived your life. And that is the reason why I am conveying this as a take-home message today to the younger generation. Please work towards becoming as congruent as you can. The People around you won't like you. They will criticize you. They'll put you down. But if you learn to swim against the tide, one fine day you will achieve something which you will be very, very proud of. And I will feel very proud of all of you in the younger generation who will achieve that. My good wishes and blessings. Thank you.